The report I'm going to create here uses the same sales by year category subcategory data set that I created earlier and used for the tabular report. So I'll come over here, create a new report, right click, add, new item, select report, and this one's going to be called matrix demo. Actually, I don't want to replace the .rdl. And click on add. Now I need to create a report data set that uses the shared sales by year category subcategory data set and makes it available to this report. So once again click right there. Call it sales by year category subcategory data set. And I'll select that data set right there. Click on OK, and now all that data is available to the report. Now, be very clear that the shared data set is shared among the reports in the project, and it defines the query used to access data from the database. The report data set that I just created is essentially a link embedded in each report that accesses the shared data set, and it tells reporting services which shared data set to use. That's why you have to repeat that step that I just completed for each new report that you create. Okay, we can start building the report. Come over here to the toolbox, drag over a matrix, and put it over near the upper left corner. Now I want to add the fields from the data set that are going to define the row and column headers for the data region. Categories is going to be listed on the left for the rows, and the calendar years will define the columns. Okay, so I'll come over here to report data, pin it open, and drag category to this cell labeled rows. Okay, so as you can see, I now have a row category, row group, single item within it. And then I'm going to drag calendar year to this cell called columns. And once again, there's nothing magic about dragging these in. I just as easily could have typed in that expression. I need to use the square brackets or the full field expression. Now, one thing to notice is that when I added category, it automatically added this static text to the column header. I can remove that, I can change it, do whatever it is. It's static text for that column. And then it also added the category to the row groups here, and calendar year to the column groups for these two panes. All right, now the details area of the matrix is going to contain both the sales amount and order quantity fields. So I'm first going to add sales amount here, drag that over into the data section right there, and notice that by default the matrix uses the sum aggregation. That's fine for this report, but I can use other aggregations as well. Now I need to add the order quantity, but before I can add it to the matrix, I need to add a new detail row. So I'm going to right-click anywhere in the second row here and select Insert Row, Inside Group Below. So notice that expands that category, so that's now a single merged cell, and I have another detail cell right there. Okay, this is a place where the matrix is a little bit funky. If I were to now drag the order quantity field over here from the report data window, the matrix is going to insert the new field where the sales amount is now and inserts a new column. So I'll try and do that right there, and you can see that now this is some order quantity, some sales amount. That's not what I wanted. So I'm going to do a Control-Z, and instead I'm going to come here and select it from that drop-down list box. And that puts it where I want it. Now, I'm not limited to using that option. I don't always have to drag over. I can use that drop-down list in any cell that can contain data from the data set correctly, a field from the data set. So at this point, the matrix has the main structure of the report in place. So I'll go ahead and preview the report. I'll go out, read the data, and there's the report. I have 4 categories, 4 years of data, and some horribly unformatted numbers. So it's not pretty, but it does have the main matrix summary data in place. So again, it has rows for each category and columns for each year. All right, so I'm going to go back over to design so that I can add some totals and improve the appearance and formatting. So I'm going to start by adding column totals for the two detail fields. So I'm going to start by right-clicking on the order quantity and selecting Add Total for the row. And that adds that order quantity summation right there. And then I'll do the same thing for sales amount. Right-click, Add Total, Row, and that inserts that. Now you can see why I did them in that particular order. I did this last field first because it inserted the order quantity, and then I did the sales summary because it adds a new total immediately after the detail rows. So now I have sales amount, order quantity, sales amount, order quantity. Okay, now I want to add the column totals for the two detail rows and the two total rows. So I'm going to select all four of those cells. And I did that by this one cell was already selected, and I just held down the Shift key and clicked the other cell at the other end of the range. But you can also select the individual cells holding down the Control key. All right, now I want to right-click that, add a total. Notice that I don't have an option of left or right or above or below because I obviously want to do column totals because those are the fields that I selected, and I can only do them to the right. And that adds those totals. Now I also want to add a new column for static labels. This is just one of many ways of doing this, but it's one that works for this particular report. Okay, so I want to click anywhere, right-click anywhere within this second column, right-click, Insert Column, Outside Group to the left, because this is not part of the calendar year group. Have that, okay? And I want to make sure that the new column is to the right of this double-dashed vertical line. All right, now I want to add the static text. I'll do sales and quantity, and sales and quantity. Okay. All right, now I want to format the numbers. I'll use the same technique showed earlier. Text box, number, currency, set that, and then go over to the Properties window, find the Format field, and copy that. Do Control-C, and then I'll select all of the sales amount, hold down the Control key, and then format all those figures all at once. And then I'll do the same thing for the order quantity. In this case, it's a number, no decimal points, 1,000 separators. And copy that formatting string, and then come down here and set it for all of those fields. Now I want to make the font bold for all but the data cells in the matrix. So all of these cells and those cells. So easiest way to do that is to select multiple columns, with the Control key, and then set it to bold, or I could hit Control B, and then select this roll and do the same thing. Except I want the totals to be bolded as well. So I'll reselect that, and now the totals are bold as well. And same thing there. Okay. So now everything but the details information here is now going to be displayed as bold. And now I want to add a light blue background to the row and column header cells, including the static text in the second column. So I'll select the first two columns, keep using the Shift key instead of the Control key, and come over here to Properties and Background Colors, and I'll select light blue. Is that it? Right there. Okay. I'll do the same for right there. Light blue. And there we have it. That completes the report design. Now I can preview it. Notice that the old layout appears briefly while it's re-rendering things. And there's the final report. I did forget to do one thing. I want to add an item there. But here you can see that there's the different categories, the 2 total rows, and then columns for each year. Because again, the matrix grew and expanded dynamically both for the column groups and for the row groups. All right, so I'll come back over here and add item and preview it one more time. And that's the actual report.